The Lester's Grill, Carolina Hotel. Jim's lunch for hot dogs, we'll eat our fill. Sam and Max shoe shine, I'll pick up the bill. California sandwich shop, we'll find our thrill. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Some of my favorite people down there. Down on Hamburger Square, Hamburger Square. Sam and Max and little Lester's down there. Got something can't be taken away. The power of love, baby, what I say. Max Corner Grill got the mystery mounds.
Hello and welcome to another lovely Conversations. Today we're going to be talking about a conference called AJOY Doing Business, and with me is Jasmine to talk about that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And the Emmy Award-winning Mike Rae Anderson. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here as well.
Yeah. This will be Friday, September 12th at 8:30, from 8:30 to 3 p.m. Jasmine, if you want to give us the introduction, I guess, to this lovely event.
Yes. So we, as you know, in our current political and economical climate right now, or climate, not client, climate, there's a lot of unfavorable information, there's a lot of misinformation, and a lot of anxiety around what's to happen next, the economic uncertainty. And we all know that just like many of our citizens in our personal lives are impacted, there are a lot of small businesses that are impacted by this. And as an entrepreneur and a bootstrapper as well, one that started the business and still growing it, you have a lot of challenges where from day to day you're trying to figure out what's the right decision. How do you navigate the constant changes from a day, from one day to the next, as it relates to policies and compliance and things of that sort. So, of course, with the name AJOY Consultant, it's a joy doing what we do. We felt it was necessary to re-infuse and rejuvenate people, especially in the small business ecosystem, with some joy and some hope. Right? We share a lot of times. As we talked about in our last conversation, it's about the energy that you ride, right? You're going to feed the monster of negativity, or are you going to feed the angel of joy? And so at the end of the day, it's like, it's no matter what's going on, it's still a joy doing business. There's a reason we started this business. There's a reason we continue to get up and fight every single day, even when things are not going well. And it's not much different, right? So that's the first and foremost reason and purpose for this and intent for this event, but also to help corporate buyers or small businesses that are looking to do more interactions or build relationships authentically with other suppliers, right, across different demographics, backgrounds, and industries. So that's one of the things we're sharing is things are uncertain, but there are still opportunities out here. You just have to look in different areas. As they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So there are some industries where opportunities are still thriving and abundant. And that's what this event serves to do, is to connect small business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as corporate buyers and municipal entities to opportunities that presents themselves. When we have times of challenges, that's what opens doors for creativity, when you're challenged with a problem or an obstacle.
Mm-hmm. Not to jump off that topic, but Mike, you have just a fascinating story that I want to touch on before we get too deep into the weeds here on this AJOY Doing Business. Can you give us a brief on your story?
Sure. And it actually is parallel with what Jasmine was just talking about in reference to economic uncertainties and all the things that you tie in with what we call the village. Because if you're going to start a small business at all, or any type of business, it takes a village, just like it's a child. But it goes back to my story of me being a former death penalty offender that served 17 and a half years on a life sentence. To kind of like speed the process up and link it to all of this, I was sentenced to life in prison because I took a plea bargain for life so that I can escape the death penalty. I was in a situation when I was a teenager. I was facing the death penalty plus life plus 60 years. So I took a plea bargain to escape the death penalty. So speed that up. While I was on the inside, I knew that this wasn't the end of my life. I felt the connection to freedom and knew that freedom would manifest again in my life. So I knew I had to prepare myself and equip myself for that freedom. But it wasn't going to be a smooth ride because now I'm coming home as a felon. So how do I equip myself? Well, I think it had a lot to do with the education that I was offered while on the inside. And one of the college degrees that I got while I was on the inside was business management. So while going through those courses and obtaining this degree, I encountered things dealing with marketing that sparked ideas in my mind. And then in marketing, it says you have to find your gift, your niche. And I had to figure out what my niche was. And while I was on the inside, I realized that I was an artist. I was somebody that knew how to write poetry, perform poetry. I was somebody that had stories in my mind. I would write plays for the inmates to perform on the inside. And I felt like that there was an opportunity for me to tie my artistry in with the entrepreneurial side so that when I am released one day, I'm able to make it through economic uncertainties. So as this whole 17 and a half years was going by, I decided to become a model inmate because I knew that was my best chance of going back home and manifest the freedom that I always saw in my mind and felt in my spirit. So upon doing so, I was recognized by the North Carolina Department of Corrections as a model inmate and was finally given a second chance. But even while I was still on the inside, going through programs, I found the opportunity to become an artist and an entrepreneur. So I was the only inmate in the state of North Carolina doing major performances with Baba Chuck Davis and the African American Dance Ensemble. We were performing, actually we performed a piece that Baba Chuck put together that included the Carolina Chocolate Drops, who we just recently saw on the movie Sinners during the part when they was doing the music evolution. But being able to be amongst great people and allowing, you know, the divine guidance of who I was as an artist, and then also now realizing that I had to become that entrepreneur, I was able to encounter that upon coming home before I even made it home. And then once I made it home, I was connected to a community that was going to embrace me as not just an artist, but as a businessman. And not just a businessman, but a businessman. I like
You're full of jokes this morning.
That was the drum hit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, to tie that all into that, man, you know, a lot of people don't know that one of our biggest plagues that has just, you know, come over the United States. We're actually a country that's known to have the most incarcerated people in the world. You know, we have the highest incarceration rate, the United States does. So how do you prepare for somebody that's coming home and coming out into a world where there's economic uncertainties? And so therefore, I knew I had to equip myself with the tools that was necessary for me to come home and be successful. And then not just that, but let the world see what gifts I had to offer through my artistry, what gifts I had to offer as somebody who was remorseful for my whole situation, because a lot of times a lot of people go in like, oh man, you know, they don't take responsibility for what it was that they done. I know I done wrong. I mean, you know, some of the things I might have been blamed for that I didn't do, but then there was things that I was charged with that I know that I was part of or whatever. How do I take responsibility for that? Come home remorseful, and then, you know, pretty much be resilient to say, okay, all right, I'm a different person, and then I can also be a productive member of society. So let me show you how I'm gonna do that.
And your story is on, you have a movie on your story.
Yes,
Tubi?
as a film director, producer, writer, actor, I actually decided to go after my own biopic, and I wrote it, directed it, you know, produced it. I was a one-man crew. It was based on budget, though. It ain't have nothing to do with the fact that I was that motivated, but I was, because it was my life story. I didn't want nobody putting their hands on it, trying to touch it, you know, and intoxicate it, so to speak, because, you know, in the industry we have a, how can I say, this wall that jumps in front of us sometimes, and if people can't intoxicate your story, then they don't want to put it out in the mass public. So I had to take control of that myself, shot it, directed it, and it's entitled A Polished Soul. And what that means is that my whole movement is about polishing the soul. Every diamond in the rough is a soul that deserves to be polished. And so with that being said, it's the name of my nonprofit organization, it's the name of the book that I wrote that was adapted into the screenplay, and it's just my movement in life, period. Polish the soul.
And we also talked about industry opportunities that are featured are film and entertainment in this conference, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you're trying to connect all that together.
Yes, indeed. A lot of times when people think about the movie industry, they don't think that there's an opportunity for me. We had, with our young professionals organization, the Greensboro JCs, we had an acting session for our general members and how that plays out in communication and business. And so one of the things that was shared is that each movie is a LLC. Every movie is a business entity, and it needs everything that a small business needs. It needs marketing, it needs consulting. If you're playing, I learned from Mike, if you're playing a particular role, you're going to need a consultant. Like if you're playing a deaf person, or like Jamie Foxx playing a blind person, he needed a consultant or a therapist who serviced that demographic and population so he could put himself in their shoes. So everything that a small business needs, a movie needs, and it's not always necessarily behind the camera. Insurance,
Yes.
Promotional items and materials, all those things, event planners for releases, premieres, the list goes on. So that's one of the beautiful synergies. And of course, a village. We all need a village for the business. Mm-hmm. Resilience. You have to be resilient to keep getting up and going into the office even when you're not bringing a dime. And I know that firsthand myself multiple times over 7 years.
Mm. Right, because usually, like in the first couple of years, you're really just trying to pay back either your loans or whatever it was.
If you take them.
If you take them.
If you take them.
Yeah.
A lot of times people push capital, but that's not what I did. I used my 401k. But to your point, the first few years, you're still trying to figure out who you want to be, right? Because everybody doesn't go into entrepreneurship the exact same way.
You broke into your 401k to start your business?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a risk.
Oh, that's life.
That's life.
That's what I call belief in self.
Yeah.
Like you got to have a lot of faith in yourself as well as, your divine guidance to know and realize and understand that, hey, I'm taking a chance of, tapping into something that can secure my future to make sure that I can secure the present. And that was a bold move.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
you have to be, I like to say, when you're calling, it's not a conference call. So you got to be, people say delusional or delulu. You got to be if you're going to be delusional about anything, it better be about you and your abilities.
Mm. So I'm going to go back to your earlier point from, finding the whole point, I guess, of the conference is to find your connections of things you might be missing in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I think that was your earlier point, right? Like
yes.
if you need, some kind of marketing consultant or, someone to run your social media, something like that.
Yeah, the gaps. A lot of times the gaps in the supply chain for larger organizations, or even, like you said, in your own small business, right? Because let's say you have a supplier that was doing your marketing, but because things have changed, budgets cut, you might have lost a major contract. There's somebody else at that next price point that might be a little bit more comfortable for your new adjusted budget. And more importantly is the authenticity of the people in the room. The abundance mindset, the community, the collaborative mindset, because when you go to conferences, it's not always centered upon that energy, and that's the biggest thing that that was in mind when moving forward with this project. It was, or this movement, I would like to say, is people who are like-minded, mutually aligned in values and ways of doing business. We all know everybody's doesn't have the same values when it comes to doing business. Some people think it's separate. I always like to say business is personal because you're doing business with people. Despite AI, there's still a person behind those prompts that are being written or that code that's being designed and developed. So, but ensuring that people that are in the room, you don't have to necessarily be best friends, but you're operating with the best intention and integrity for both of you to thrive. And even partnerships, there's talk about, a lot of the individuality in our Western culture, or even in the Black community sometimes, that they say that it's hard for us to collaborate. Well, this is a perfect example of a lot of businesses coming together, which makes this, even more special, because there will be nationwide attendance, but a lot of the people that are in the nucleus of putting on this event are in different parts of the state and different parts of the country. So, which we're very excited about.
Tell me about who your target audience is. Who are you trying to gather up for this conference?
So this is from an attendee perspective, small business owners, anywhere from pretty much any age, because it's never too early or too late to start a business. So small business owners that are looking for new opportunities, navigating economic uncertainty, or you're looking to find ways for potential partnerships, ways to just expand your knowledge, but also, ready to level up to the next step. Because there will be some corporate entities there, some corporate buyers that may want to see your product on their shelf, or they may want to see, hey, can you partner with some of our tier 1 suppliers? Those who are open to new industries. You might have been comfortable working with, a furniture manufacturer, but did you ever think about sustainability? ESG is becoming a big movement now and emerging on sustainability. Governance is, another thing that they're talking about as social responsibility. So are you open enough to adapt? Because that's basically what, the critical skill for survival is how are you able to adapt? But to go back to your question, small business owners for sure that are looking for new opportunities, that are prime and ready to adapt or pivot, and then corporate buyers who sometimes are charged with finding more dynamic suppliers so that they can refresh their supply chain options and quality. So if you're a corporate buyer and you've been having challenges with that, this is definitely where you want to be, or just engage authentically, because sometimes that is a concern of small businesses is you can see, you can read the energy that sometimes they're there because they are supposed to be there. They have to check the box or they want to get a paycheck, and that's not always the case, but sometimes either that buyer is not understanding what you can do for them or you're not articulating that well. So this event helps for that. It helps the small business owners do that as well, to articulate what value they provide to a buyer supply chain or their partners, strategic partners or collaborative supply chain, and then for the corporate buyers to clarify this is what we're looking for and this is who we want to work with, or this is who we need and some of the gaps we need to be fulfilled. So that's, I would say that's the main.
Fill in the gaps.
Yes, fill in the gaps, pretty much.
How does anybody sign up for this?
So you can sign up on Eventbrite. If you type in AJOY, it'll be the first event that will come up. And we have early bird tickets on sale right now. So they'll be on sale. The early bird tickets will be available for a few days, and then it will go, and they're on sale for $99. And then there's also an opportunity to have a special meet and greet. It's limited entrance or entry, but there's a special meet and greet to get to know our key sponsors as well as our dear friend, Mr. Mike Rae Anderson, the night before on September the 11th.
Mm-hmm. And Mike, I know you're giving back to the community too. Are you working with like young kids?
Yes, my nonprofit, which has been based since 2012, a Polished Souls Foundation Incorporated, actually serves several counties in the North Carolina area. But what we deal with is adjudicated youth, at-risk youth, as well as gang intervention, and it's all based upon the fact that we got to look at the possibilities of what this school-to-prison pipeline is creating. And the school-to-prison pipeline is pretty much destroying a lot of the futures of our young entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, and as well as those that can be leaders in the business community, the education community, spiritual community. And what I do is pretty much try to restructure their mind state about anything dealing with the woes and throes of underprivileged, environments, disenfranchisement, so to speak, to be removed from the upper echelon of kids and to say, okay, I'm different, I'm struggling. Why is my mama working 3 jobs? Why do I see 2 guys come in and out of the house? All sorts of things. That's the reality and the struggles of what is going on with these kids. Teaching them how to become resilient, to say, hey, your present tense has nothing to do with who you can be in the future. It may form you and motivate you, but it needs to take you into a state of restoration so that you can get all that is promised for you. You're not going to be removed from what destiny has for you as long as you stick to the structure of a positive mental attitude. And so that's what we teach, and we teach it through the arts. We have programs like Project Exposure, where we take the kids into different environments. Some of them have never been out of their own backyards or from the top of their blocks, their street corners. We put them in different places like baseball games with skyboxes that are catered to show them that they're important as well. Project Exposure is like a double entendre. It relates to the fact that we also talk about exposure from film. So we give them digital therapy, digital cinematic therapy, as well as teaching them the ins and outs of the movie industry. You don't have to just be the actor or the actress. You can be the writer, you can be the gaffer, you can be whoever it is on a production crew. And there's opportunity for employment there, there's opportunity for income, and there's opportunity even for entrepreneurship. Because myself as a producer now, as Jasmine was saying earlier, we have multiple businesses because every time we make a movie, that's a business. It's an LLC. And with that business, you have to become not just the director or the producer or the guy in front of the camera. You have to be the general manager of a lot of stuff, man. You got things that you, like she was saying, securing set insurance at a typical rate of maybe $3,500. You have just pretty much secured set insurance for 10-day shoot or whatever for that film. Like literally, we're about to go to Pickens, South Carolina Thursday and shoot the rest of our movie that we're currently working on entitled In the Matchbox, starring Hawthorne James, who's read from the 5 Heartbeats, and multiple other actors and actresses that are notable in the industry. But with this, we have to make sure these people don't get hurt while they're on set, because they are commodities and assets to other people. You as an actor or actress, you got to realize that you are an asset to somebody. You're a commodity to people. So we have to protect all of that, and then we have to go so many different other avenues as a general manager of a business to make sure that this movie comes out right. So with that being said, we teach those intricacies within the organization as well to say, hey man, I'm telling you, here's a route that you can go, a direction that you can go if you feel like you're not going to be that perfect athlete. And entertainment, you're not good at writing lyrics. You don't want to be the rapper, which is the dream that they sell to our community a lot. Here's another industry that I think that you may prosper in because you have the gift and we can guide you in that direction. So yes, that's definitely what my community-based organization is all about, Polished Souls Foundation Incorporated.
So yeah, and you understand what the importance of a conference like this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Meeting your needs and
yes.
The gaps that we.
When we were connected,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me about it, I said, "Oh, this is perfect," because a lot of people don't know the opportunities that exist within the movie industry as an entrepreneur. Like if you got a beauty salon over here, you can be a makeup artist and don't even know it on set. Or if you are a fashion designer, you can come and do wardrobe. You can, like we were just having a conversation about palettes earlier. Some of those things wear off on you to the point to where it becomes natural language and you speak it on an everyday basis in your industry. I mean, there's so many other things. Like if you culinary artist, you can come in as the caterer and do crafts and services. That can be your business. You may mess around and then blow up somewhere down in Atlanta, and who knows how many film projects may hire you. You just got to be willing to understand what we call the cross-cultural, exposure, and you got to be ready to cross over not just from the mainstream industry of your business, but as well as those hidden gems out there that can accept you and pull you in as an entrepreneur as well. So definitely the right conference to be at, and I'm definitely going to drop a few gems, jewels, and possibly even networking opportunities because I feel like I have a strong network with some major names in the industry, and we work together on. I mean, you can watch my movie, A Polished Soul. It's on Amazon Prime, it's on Tubi, and see the people that's in that movie. So, therefore, you'll see that there's a strong network in this business.
Yeah, and you never know, like when you're, someone shooting in your area, like you might
Exactly.
be that director or the producer or whatever, they might have that need at that exact. You might be the right person at the right time.
Yeah. Like, look, man, I only wear these type of shoes, and you know anybody who designs these shoes?
Right.
Oh yeah, you go down the street. You know, Ray has these,
Yeah.
you know, double insoles, so you can walk on your flat feet all day and direct this film. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just it's the craziest thing. You can never imagine what may come up, but you are that person that becomes that contributing element for that situation.
And there's a million stories like that.
Oh man, all over the place. I'm telling you, man. You all you see is the story in the theater. You don't hear the backstories.
Yeah, right.
The backstories are the most interesting stories that you can hear, because we got several backstories. Like literally on the way here, the place that we're filming at in Pickens, South Carolina, for the 1800s period piece. Mm-hmm. I literally just got the link sent to me and said, yo, a bridge just collapsed over there. Y'all might have to go around. I'm like, come on, man. This is Thursday and the bridge will collapse on Tuesday. Yo, let me go curse this bridge out. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? Why are you getting in our way? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, things like that, man. The backstories are crazy.
Yeah, like I know that the shark in Jaws didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing.
So that's why you got CGI now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And like the whole thing was he used the fin, and that was what made the movie.
That
yeah,
all you see the fin the whole movie.
The thought or the suspense.
That's a big fin.
Right.
We know it's attached to a shark. You know what I'm saying?
But I digress.
It's crazy that you said that. I have a shark movie. I was in Shark Water.
Oh yeah, Shark Water.
Yeah, so I have a shark story too. So it's like, we had to figure out how to make it look like the shark really hit the boat.
Yeah.
And it was like, just move, But yeah, I digress.
Yeah, really. Tell us about some of the vendors, some of the events that are going on, some of the things that are going to benefit the folks coming to this event.
Okay, I did forget to mention earlier that we are in partnership with CVMSDC as well as YWCA Greensboro. A portion of the ticket proceeds will be contributed to them to help support their efforts in their women and children's family shelter. And as far as in our partnerships, because when we talk about the village, our partnerships, of course, Mr. Mike Rae Anderson, we have A Glass Above mobile cocktail and bartending service. We have a Brandley Creative Group, Abigail Grace Writing, Break the Gate, and a few others. We will have AK London. We'll have some retail vendors there. So AK London, who does candles that burn cleanly, and that was another thing we talked about. You can have your candles on a set, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't think about that, having your product in the set of a movie. And who knows, if they like it, then who knows where that will go.
Got maybe about 30 seconds left.
Yes.
Tell us about where and when and what.
Absolutely. So the official day, it's AJOY Doing Business conference, will be on September the 12th from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The morning will consist of an empowerment panel and the dialogue from various industries on, again, those gaps to help move your business forward or forge new powerful economic partnerships. And then from there in the afternoon, we'll have the Small Business Expo with lunch included. There are two options for the full day experience, which is $135, and then the partial day experience. If you want to just come for 2 hours of networking, you can't commit to the whole experience, or your budget doesn't allow, we have something for everyone. And then you'll also get access to a database that helps you build your ideal customer or client profile, which is through a company called Elroy. And you'll also be able to get information on how much like the average spend is in your industry. And me as a consultant, that's a huge benefit to know when you're pricing your contracts and proposals to ensure that you are within that sweet spot of what they typically spend or invest in that industry. And so, but 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. we start at Union Square. We wrap up at Elm Bain on 620B 620B South Elm Street, and then from there, we get to enjoy the folk festival in the afternoon, and the chamber is also having a block party right after that. So it's a great way for people to come and experience Greensboro, not just for those 6 hours, but for the remainder of the weekend for our 3-day music festival.
Jasmine, Mike, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you
for having us.
I would love to have y'all back. And thank you for watching our program.